Imagine waking up to a world on the brink of disaster. A day so catastrophic it altered the fate of early humans forever. What happened on this single day could have wiped out entire communities, changed ecosystems, and forced humanity to evolve in ways no one expected. This is the story of the most dangerous day in prehistoric history, a day when survival was razor-thin and the world held its breath. Chapter 1. The Calm Before the Storm. Prehistoric life was a delicate balance of routine and risk. Early humans woke each day to familiar sounds, the rustling of leaves, distant calls of animals, and the quiet crackle of fires from the night before. Their world was raw and untamed, but life had rhythms: hunting, gathering, social bonding, and constant vigilance. Despite the dangers, there was a strange comfort in routine. The environment was rich but unpredictable. Forests teemed with game, rivers ran cold and clear, and seasons came with reliable shifts. Early humans had adapted to these cycles, developing tools, fire mastery, and language to navigate daily challenges. They lived in small groups, depending on each other for survival, sharing food and knowledge passed down from generations. Yet beneath this fragile calm lay invisible threats. Volcanic mountains slumbered nearby, weather patterns shifted unpredictably, and ancient ice sheets loomed on distant horizons. The earth itself was alive and volatile, holding the power to change everything in a heartbeat. On this seemingly ordinary day, early humans were unaware that their world was about to be torn apart. Their survival depended not just on strength or skill but on how quickly they could face the unimaginable. The calm before the storm was the last breath of a world on the edge of a prehistoric disaster unlike any before. Early humans were masters of adaptation, molded by their environment into resilient survivors. Their days were filled with hunting wild animals, gathering edible plants, and crafting tools from stone, bone, and wood. These tools weren't just objects. They were lifelines, vital for everything from preparing food to defending against predators. The landscape itself was a patchwork of forests, grasslands, and rivers, a playground and battleground for survival. Climate fluctuations forced humans to be constantly on the move, tracking migrating herds and seasonal plants. They lived in caves or simple shelters, often near water sources, balancing safety with access to resources. Social structures were tight-knit. Early humans depended on each other for warmth, protection, and knowledge. Stories and survival skills were shared orally, strengthening community bonds and ensuring that each generation was better equipped than the last. But this precarious existence was vulnerable. Natural disasters could strike without warning, wiping out food supplies or destroying shelter. Disease, injury, and competition for resources added to the ever-present threats. In this delicate balance, even a single catastrophic event could tip the scales toward extinction. As the day of the disaster approached, the rhythm of early human life was about to shatter, thrusting them into chaos and forcing the ultimate test of endurance and ingenuity. In the days leading up to the most dangerous day in prehistoric history, subtle signs whispered warnings, signs that early humans likely sensed but could not fully understand. The earth began to tremble faintly, an unsettling vibration beneath their feet. The sky, once clear and predictable, darkened with unusual clouds swirling ominously. Animals acted strangely, birds fell silent and herds scattered, their instincts alerting them to unseen threats. These were not just random occurrences. Geological and climatic forces were shifting violently beneath the surface. Volcanoes, long dormant, hinted at awakening with distant rumblings. Rivers swelled beyond their banks from heavy rains. Temperatures fluctuated wildly, confusing plants and animals alike. Early humans, relying on keen observation and generations of knowledge, may have noticed these changes. But the scale and speed of what was coming was beyond their experience. There was no way to prepare for the disaster about to reshape their world forever. Their survival depended on rapid adaptation to chaos, finding shelter, securing food, and protecting loved ones amid destruction. This fragile moment, just before the storm, marked the final breath of an ancient world on the brink. Chapter 2. The Catastrophic Event Unfolds. The morning of the disaster dawned like any other, but soon the earth itself began to revolt. The ground shook violently, knocking over trees and cracking the soil. In the distance, a massive volcanic mountain, once quiet for centuries, erupted with terrifying force. Clouds of ash and smoke billowed skyward, blotting out the sun and turning day into an eerie twilight. The eruption was cataclysmic, releasing molten lava rivers that scorched the landscape and triggered massive wildfires. Thunderous explosions shattered the air, and the ground trembled in relentless waves. The very sky seemed to bleed ash and embers, which rained down upon forests, rivers, and the fragile camps of early humans. Early human groups scattered, caught off guard and desperate. Many were trapped as fires closed off escape routes, while others fought choking ash and darkness. The eruption triggered secondary disasters too. Landslides buried valleys and flash floods swept away everything in their path. This was no ordinary natural disaster. It was a world-changing event, a day when survival hung by a thread. For early humans, it was a terrifying test of instinct, strength, and the will to live. The Earth's fury had arrived and life would never be the same. As the volcanic fury unleashed its full force, early humans faced devastation on an unimaginable scale. Trees were reduced to ash, animal herds fled in panic, and entire landscapes were transformed into burning wastelands. The thick ash clouds choked the air, making breathing a battle. Visibility dropped to mere feet, forcing humans to stumble blindly through the chaos. Groups scattered, desperate to find safety. Some sought refuge in caves or behind rocky outcrops, hoping the natural shelters would shield them from falling debris and searing heat. Others attempted to flee across treacherous terrain, their paths blocked by lava flows and collapsing ground. The sensory overload, crashing sounds, choking dust, and blinding flashes, triggered primal survival instincts. Communication became frantic, cries and shouts echoing as families struggled to stay together. Injuries were common, with burns and broken limbs adding to the peril. Yet, amid the chaos, moments of extraordinary bravery and quick thinking emerged. Some groups managed to build rudimentary barriers or use water from nearby streams to douse small fires. Others gathered the young and elderly, shielding them as they navigated the disaster zone. This day was a brutal test of human resilience, a fight not just against nature but against despair and hopelessness. The choices made in these critical hours determined who would survive and who would be lost to history. The eruption didn't just devastate human settlements, it sent shockwaves through entire ecosystems. Forests that once teemed with life were reduced to charred skeletons. Rivers, crucial for drinking and fishing, ran thick with ash and debris, making water unsafe and scarce. Animal populations were decimated or forced to flee, leaving early humans with fewer food sources. Plant life suffered massively too. Edible fruits, nuts, and tubers vanished under layers of volcanic material. The fertile soil that supported future growth was temporarily poisoned, setting back the cycle of regeneration by years or even decades. This sudden scarcity pushed surviving humans into desperate territory. Hunting became a dangerous gamble with fewer animals around. Gathering food required traveling farther into unknown, hostile areas. Shelter was harder to find as natural resources were destroyed. Yet, these harsh conditions sparked rapid adaptation. Humans learned to innovate new strategies for finding food, sharing scarce resources, and seeking safety in unfamiliar places. The disaster rewrote the rules of survival overnight. The immediate impact on ecosystems was catastrophic. But from this destruction, a new chapter in human endurance and evolution began. This was the day that tested everything early humans had and forced them to rise above. Chapter 3, The Aftermath, Survival Against All Odds. The day after the disaster, silence blanketed the land, a haunting quiet after the roar of destruction. Early humans emerged from hiding, faces smeared with ash, eyes wide with shock. Their familiar world was gone, replaced by a harsh, unrecognizable landscape. The challenge of survival had only just begun. Food was scarce. The lush forests that once provided game and plants were now barren wastelands. Rivers ran dark and toxic, making water hard to find. Hunger gnawed at bodies already weakened by fear and exhaustion. Every meal was a gamble, every step a risk. Shelter was another critical concern. Caves and natural hideouts might still offer protection, but many had been buried or damaged. Makeshift shelters, piles of branches, animal hides, were fragile against the elements. Exposure to cold, rain, and ash-filled winds threatened survival as much as hunger. Injuries from the disaster, burns, cuts, broken bones, added to the struggle. Without modern medicine, infection was a constant threat. Caring for the injured required cooperation and empathy, pulling communities closer amid adversity. But it wasn't just physical survival that mattered. The emotional toll was immense. Fear of further disasters, grief for lost loved ones, and the unknown future weighed heavily on minds. Yet it was this raw human spirit, the will to endure, that kept them moving forward. This was a pivotal moment. Every decision, every act of courage, shaped the fragile thread of life amid chaos. Faced with a devastated environment and dwindling resources, early humans had to innovate fast, or perish. Survival demanded new strategies born from necessity and sharpened by desperation. One of the first adaptations was diversification of diet. With large game scarce, groups turned to smaller animals, rodents, birds, and even insects, that they might have previously ignored. Foraging expanded to include tough, resilient plants that could grow back quickly after the disaster. This dietary flexibility was crucial, showing early humans' ability to adapt their habits when survival was on the line. Toolmaking evolved too. Sharper, more versatile weapons and cutting implements allowed hunters to catch smaller, faster prey. Spears became lighter for throwing. Traps and snares were crafted with newfound precision. Fire, already a key survival tool, was used more strategically, to cook new types of food and to keep predators at bay in the barren landscape. Social cooperation intensified. Groups that shared food, knowledge, and labor had a much better chance of making it through the harsh aftermath. Caring for the weak, passing down survival tips, and maintaining morale became vital for the collective. These innovations weren't just about surviving the immediate crisis. They laid foundations for future progress. The disaster forced early humans to rethink their relationship with the environment, becoming more adaptable, resourceful, and connected. As the immediate crisis eased, early humans faced the daunting task of rebuilding their shattered communities. The landscape was still scarred, but their spirit remained unbroken. Reconstructing shelters, re-establishing food sources, and reclaiming territory became daily battles, requiring teamwork and unwavering determination. Social bonds grew stronger. Survivors depended on each other not only for physical support but also for emotional strength. Shared stories of loss and hope helped heal psychological wounds. Rituals, perhaps early forms of mourning and celebration, brought meaning to suffering and reinforced group identity. Mental resilience became as vital as physical strength. Fear of another disaster lingered, but adapting to uncertainty was key. Early humans learned to read subtle signs in nature, honing instincts that could alert them to future dangers. This sharpened awareness improved chances of survival in an unpredictable world. The disaster also deepened early humans' connection to their environment. They developed greater respect for natural forces and a more profound understanding of their place in the ecosystem. This awareness shaped their culture, beliefs, and survival strategies for generations. Ultimately, this phase of rebuilding marked a transformation. From destruction emerged not just recovery but growth, laying the foundation for the complex societies that would follow. Chapter 4: Evolutionary Shifts Triggered by Disaster. Catastrophic events don't just reshape landscapes, they can reshape species. The prehistoric disaster we're exploring did more than devastate early human communities. It accelerated evolutionary changes that would alter the course of human history. When survival becomes a brutal, prolonged challenge, natural selection intensifies. Traits that might have been minor advantages before suddenly become essential. Early humans who could adapt quickly to new food sources, withstand harsh climates, or cooperate more effectively had better chances of survival, and thus better chances to pass on their genes. Physical changes began to emerge. Some groups developed stronger immune systems to fight off diseases unleashed by the disaster's aftermath. Others saw shifts in body size and endurance, favoring those who could travel farther in search of food or better shelter. Cognitive abilities such as problem-solving and communication became even more crucial. Beyond biology, cultural evolution sped up. The crisis pushed early humans to innovate in tool use, social organization, and knowledge sharing. These adaptations weren't just survival tactics. They became the building blocks of complex societies. This chapter explores how one terrifying day in prehistory acted as a catalyst for evolutionary leaps, setting the stage for the humans we know today. The story of early human survival after catastrophic events isn't just told through fossils or artifacts. It's written deep within our DNA. Genetic research has uncovered fascinating clues about how prehistoric disasters shaped the human genome, leaving marks that echo through time. Scientists studying ancient DNA from early human remains have found evidence of genetic adaptations that enhanced resilience. For example, genes linked to stronger immune responses became more common, suggesting survivors were better equipped to fight new diseases that followed environmental upheavals. These genetic shifts didn't happen overnight but accumulated across generations, a direct response to the harsh new realities. Other genetic changes involved metabolism and diet. As early humans were forced to diversify their food sources, some developed genetic traits that improved digestion of tougher, more varied foods, plants, insects, and smaller animals. This flexibility provided a critical survival edge in a resource-scarce world. Genetic markers also point to adaptations in brain function, possibly related to increased cognitive abilities necessary for complex social cooperation and problem-solving under stress. These changes could explain why early humans rapidly advanced in tool-making and culture after disasters. The genetic legacy of that fateful day lives on in all of us, a hidden testament to the power of survival against overwhelming odds. The evolutionary shifts triggered by that prehistoric catastrophe didn't just help early humans survive, they changed the very path of human evolution. The adaptations in immunity, diet, and cognition shaped generations to come, laying groundwork for the rise of modern Homo sapiens. Improved immune systems allowed early humans to endure diseases that might have wiped out less adapted groups. This survival advantage helped certain populations expand into new territories, spreading their genes and innovations across continents. Dietary flexibility, fueled by genetic changes, meant humans could exploit a broader range of environments. This ability to adapt food sources was crucial as climates fluctuated and ecosystems transformed. It also supported population growth, as more reliable nutrition meant healthier, stronger communities. Cognitive advancements unlocked unprecedented problem-solving and social cooperation. The emergence of complex language, culture, and technology was no accident. It was driven by the need to navigate a harsher, unpredictable world. These developments set humans apart from other species, enabling the creation of tools, art, and early social structures. In essence, the disaster acted as a brutal evolutionary filter. Only the adaptable, resourceful, and cooperative survived. Their descendants inherited these traits, shaping the unique human story of resilience and innovation. Chapter 5: Long-term environmental changes after the disaster. The prehistoric disaster didn't just alter human lives immediately, it transformed the environment for centuries to come. The eruption and subsequent ecological upheaval reshaped landscapes, climates, and ecosystems in profound ways that affected every living creature. In the aftermath, ash and volcanic debris blanketed vast areas, smothering plants and altering soil chemistry. This initially devastated vegetation but also, over time, enriched the soil with minerals, making it more fertile for new growth. Slowly, pioneer species, hardy grasses, shrubs, and fast-growing trees, began to reclaim the land. The climate itself experienced shifts. Massive amounts of volcanic ash and gases in the atmosphere caused volcanic winters, where sunlight was blocked, leading to global temperature drops. These cooler, harsher conditions lasted years, stressing plants, animals, and humans alike. Glaciers may have advanced and seasonal patterns shifted, forcing species to migrate or adapt. Rivers and lakes changed course or dried up, altering water availability and habitats. These changes forced animal populations to relocate, sometimes leading to local extinctions or new evolutionary pressures. For early humans, these environmental transformations meant adjusting hunting grounds, migration routes, and settlement locations. They had to learn not only to survive the immediate catastrophe but to navigate a permanently altered world. The catastrophic event unleashed a domino effect that rippled through prehistoric animal populations. Many species, once abundant, faced dramatic declines or extinction as their habitats vanished or changed beyond recognition. Large herbivores, which early humans often hunted, suffered heavily. Vast stretches of their grazing grounds were buried under volcanic ash, while water sources became contaminated or disappeared entirely. This scarcity forced animals to migrate long distances, often into territories occupied by predators, or even humans, triggering competition and conflict. Carnivores too felt the pressure. With prey populations shrinking and habitats disrupted, many predators faced starvation. Some adapted by shifting diets or hunting behaviors, while others faded from the ecosystem altogether. Smaller creatures fared somewhat better. Their quicker reproductive cycles and ability to exploit varied niches allowed them to survive and even thrive in the new environment. Insects, rodents, and birds became critical food sources for humans adapting to limited options. The changing animal populations forced early humans to alter hunting strategies dramatically. They had to track new species, develop fresh tools, and even expand territories to find food. This period was a survival crucible, not just for humans but for the entire web of prehistoric life. The shifting environments and animal populations forced early humans into rapid and radical adaptation. Their survival depended on learning to navigate unfamiliar ecosystems that bore little resemblance to the world before the disaster. Humans expanded their territories, exploring new regions with different climates, vegetation, and wildlife. This exploration demanded flexibility, new hunting techniques for elusive or smaller prey, innovative gathering methods for previously ignored plants, and altered shelter construction suited to diverse conditions. Dietary adaptability became crucial. As large game vanished, humans turned to fish, birds, insects, and tough vegetation. This dietary expansion not only ensured survival but also influenced biological evolution, favoring traits for digesting varied food types and utilizing scarce resources efficiently. Social structures grew more complex. To cope with uncertainty, groups banded together in larger communities, sharing knowledge and resources. Cooperation became a key survival tool. Strength in numbers meant better defense, food acquisition, and child rearing. The disaster's aftermath was a crucible that forged new human behaviors, cultures, and skills. These adaptations didn't just salvage survival, they set the stage for the incredible diversity and resilience that define humanity today. Chapter 6. The Legacy of the Most Dangerous Day in Prehistoric History. The disaster we've been exploring wasn't just a single moment of destruction. It left a lasting legacy that shaped human history for millennia. The most dangerous day in prehistoric history became a turning point, a dark crucible that tested early humans in unimaginable ways and forged the path for our ancestors' future. Its impact went far beyond immediate survival. The lessons learned, adaptations made, and evolutionary shifts sparked by that event rippled through generations, influencing everything from social structures to technology. Early humans became more resilient, cooperative, and innovative, qualities that would become hallmarks of humanity. This legacy is visible in archaeological findings, tools crafted with new precision, evidence of complex communities, and traces of cultural rituals possibly rooted in collective trauma and healing. The disaster also pushed early humans to explore and settle new regions, accelerating migration and the spread of human populations across the globe. Understanding this legacy helps us grasp how fragile and how strong human life was in those ancient times. It reveals a story of resilience, adaptation, and ultimately triumph over one of the most formidable challenges nature could throw at us. In the wake of unimaginable destruction, early humans didn't just survive, they evolved culturally and technologically in ways that would echo through history. The disaster forced rapid innovation, accelerating developments that might have taken centuries under normal circumstances. Tools became more sophisticated and specialized. Flint knives, scrapers, and projectile points were crafted with greater precision, enabling more efficient hunting and processing of new, smaller prey. The invention of new weapons like the spear thrower increased hunting range and success, critical in a world where food was scarce. Fire use expanded beyond warmth and cooking. It became a tool for landscape management, clearing areas to encourage growth of edible plants and drive game. Controlled fire also offered protection against predators and insects in the altered environment. Culturally, signs of symbolic behavior emerge. Burial sites from this period suggest rituals, possibly aimed at coping with loss or invoking protection from future disasters. Artifacts like beads and carvings hint at early expressions of identity and social cohesion. Language and communication likely grew more complex, as survival depended on coordination and knowledge sharing. Stories, warnings, and strategies passed between generations helped build a collective intelligence essential for navigating an unpredictable world. These developments transformed early humans from mere survivors to active agents shaping their destiny. The echoes of that prehistoric disaster resonate far beyond ancient times. The legacy of resilience, adaptation, and innovation it sparked still shapes who we are today, both biologically and culturally. Our immune systems carry traces of those early survival battles, with genetic adaptations that helped our ancestors survive diseases unleashed by environmental upheaval. Our brains, shaped by the pressures of cooperation and problem-solving in harsh conditions, underpin the complex societies and technologies we build today. Culturally, the human instinct to band together, share knowledge, and create meaning out of hardship can be traced back to those early experiences of trauma and survival. Rituals, storytelling, and art, all pillars of human culture, may have roots in the need to process loss and strengthen group bonds during dark times. Understanding this legacy deepens our appreciation for human endurance. It reminds us that every challenge we face, from pandemics to climate crises, taps into the same well of resilience forged in prehistoric fire and ash. The most dangerous day in prehistoric history wasn't just a moment of destruction. It was a beginning, a harsh teacher that forced early humans to rise, adapt, and ultimately thrive. Conclusion. The most dangerous day in prehistoric history tested early humans like nothing else before. But from the ashes of destruction rose resilience, innovation, and evolution, traits that define us to this day. Their story is not just one of survival, but of transformation. It's a powerful reminder that human history is a tale of overcoming impossible odds, adapting to relentless challenges, and pushing forward against the darkest of times. Call to action. What do you think was the most incredible adaptation that helped early humans survive? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. If this journey into prehistoric survival shocked or inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories from our ancient past. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the mysteries of the ancient world. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay resilient.